Right everyone, it is Finn here, and welcome to my FIFA World Cup African qualification predictions, where of course it is currently the international break and there's no club football happening at the moment, but I thought, myself being South African, it is only right that I give you my predictions for round 2 of the African qualifications for the World Cup next year. Now of course, being in round 2 of the African qualification process, that does mean that there are 40 African nations left. There are going to be 10 groups with 4 African nations per group, and only one nation per group can advance to the next stage. It is going to be incredibly tricky, but in today's video I'll give, to the best of my ability, my attempt of predicting who will make it through to the next round of the competition. And of course, there being lots of African nations in this, I can't say that I'm not going to drop a pun here or there. I mean, I'm gonna drop an African pun every now and then. Sorry, that joke might come and bite me in my Djibouti. Sorry, that joke probably was too much. Or was it Tunisia? I am so sorry. But of course, jumping into my predictions for the African qualifications for the World Cup next year. Look, there's only going to be 5 African nations in the World Cup next year, but there are still 40 teams left. It is going to be really tricky to predict at this stage of the competition. But looking at Group A, first of all, I mean, it's a fairly tricky group. Obviously, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Djibouti, Niger. I mean, 4 kind of tricky teams, but I have to say the outright favorites to win this group, it just has to be Algeria. I think Algeria's got a fantastic squad. Obviously, them recently winning the African Cup of Nations, or the Africa Cup of Nations. Look, Algeria are the favorites in the group, and at the end of the day, no matter what I think 2nd to 4th place will be, I mean, first is the only team that matters in this, as it's the only team that's going to advance to the next stage of the competition. I think Faso have got a fantastic up-and-coming squad. Djibouti don't have a bad team. Niger don't have a bad team. But at the end of the day, Algeria is the better team overall by quite a far country mile, to be honest with you. I don't know what I mean by quite a far country mile. A mile is a mile. Looking at Group D, they've got the likes of Equatorial Guinea, they've got Mauritania, they've got Tunisia, and they've got Zambia. Now, I'd like to say that this is a very easy win for Tunisia, but Zambia don't have a bad team whatsoever. They've obviously got the likes of Daka, the new Leicester City forward. He's looking really promising, but over the last few years, from what I've seen, I do think Tunisia is a better team, or at least it's a team I've gotten the most kind of exposure to. So at least from my knowledge, I do feel like Tunisia is the better team out of these 4. I've heard quite good things about Equatorial Guinea though, so I'm not going to totally write out every other team, but in terms of Group B, the team I think will go through, I think it will be Tunisia. Obviously, they were at the 2018 World Cup. I obviously think that says a lot for the team in terms of where they can go, the fact that they can qualify for a World Cup. Maybe they can do it again, we'll have to see. Now moving on to Group C, which, yes, I've realized this is a very fast-paced video, but I don't want to waste too much of your people's time. I mean, yes, it is an African video, but we don't have to agree with African time here. We've obviously got the likes of Cape Verde, Central African Republic, we've got Liberia, and we've got Nigeria. Now, I think this is a relatively tricky group, except for the fact that it's got Nigeria in it. I mean, they've got the likes of Wilfred Ndidi, they've got Ian Nacho, they've got Osimhen, they've got so many fantastic players in their squad that they just have to be the outright favorites to win this group overall. But saying that, if it wasn't just for the fact that only number 1 could go through, I mean, Central African Republic, Liberia, and obviously Cape Verde, they've all done relatively well in the African Cup of Nations. I think that they are already good teams. Maybe not so much Liberia in the modern era of football, but I think this could be a really tricky group. I really would like to say it's going to be a tight contest, but Nigeria just has to take it with the quality they have in their team. Now moving on to Group D. This is a tricky one to predict. We've got Cameroon, obviously the hosts of the Africa Cup of Nations. They'll be happening in January, I believe. We've got Ivory Coast, we've got Malawi, and we've got Mozambique. Now, I quite like Malawi, but probably the weaker team in the group. I don't think Mozambique will win it. And surprise, surprise, I think the 2 teams that will compete for first place is going to be Cameroon and Ivory Coast. It's going to be relatively tricky. I mean, looking at Ivory Coast, they've got the likes of Nicolas Pepe, they've got Zaha, they've got Bali, they've got Chiesa, they've got Diallo. It is a fantastic squad. I think in terms of a proper spine of the squad, look, it's very strong going forward. They've obviously also got the likes of Serge Aurier in the right back position. They've got a good, strong squad overall. Looking at Cameroon, as I said, the host of the Africa Cup of Nations, the next one coming up, they've obviously got Matip, they've got Toko Ekambi, I think that's how you pronounce it, sorry, they've got Nguisa, they've got Choupo-Moting, they've got a fantastic squad as well. I think looking at these 2 teams, it is going to be such a tight contest, and I think it's going to be quite a physical battle. obviously looking at African football over the last few years, it doesn't quite have that pace, or it doesn't quite have that skill level that maybe South American or European football has, should I say. But it's definitely got a different physical element to it. And on paper, I think, look, Cameroon, I've got a feeling might just edge it, but I think Ivory Coast is going to win Group D. I mean, I watched them personally at the Olympics, how they played. I think they look really, really good. Yes, that's not the exact squad they're going to end up taking to the World Cup, but they've got a lot of promising youngsters. They can do really, really well, and I think the quality in their team is sufficient enough to take them through to the next stage. Now, moving on to Group E, we've got the likes of Kenya, Mali, Rwanda, and Uganda. Now, I don't think Rwanda are going to be the team to make it through to the next stage, although it is football. Anyone could be surprised. I think it's going to be between Uganda, Kenya, and Mali, and at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Mali making it through to the next stage. They've got some fantastic players in their squad that have been playing top European football for quite a long time in the European leagues. I do like the likes of Kenya, and I do like the likes of Uganda, but to me, they just don't have the same quality they have had over the last few years. Obviously, I used to be quite a big fan of Victor Wanyama when he used to play at Tottenham Hotspurs, just because I thought he was an excellent player. But as a whole, Mali just have to be the better team in my opinion. Moving on to Group F, we've obviously got the likes of Angola, Gabon, we've got Egypt and Libya. Now, once again, I feel like this is a fairly easy group for me to say. Look, it obviously goes down to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with Gabon and Egypt with Mo Salah. And I'm not going to say Egypt just purely because I think Mo Salah is better than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but I am going to say Egypt because their overall quality of play, I feel like it's the best out of these four teams. I just feel like we've seen it over the last few years. Obviously, they were at the World Cup in 2018. They've got fantastic players. Their club football at the moment is very, very strong in terms of African football overall. I feel like they've got a very strong squad and one of the favorites out of all of these African teams to qualify for the competition. Egypt just have to have a better team. There's just no two ways about it in my opinion. Now, obviously, Group G, it is going to be a bit of an odd one because my team, South Africa, I'm South African, born, proud, raised, all of that good stuff. But do I think South Africa, out of these four teams, is going to be the best team in terms of making it through? To be honest, I don't think so. I've heard a lot of people saying that they think South Africa will qualify to the next stage because they've got a very young, promising group of players that could do really, really well. I thought South Africa did very, very well at the Olympics, to be honest with you. We had some fantastic game time, but that's not the exact same squad we'll put in the competition. I think South Africa has some fantastic players playing all around the world, but we just don't have that quality as a team. I don't think we have a good enough team, to be honest with you. I think individually, yes, we've got some brilliant players, but as a team, we've been underperforming for years. We haven't even qualified for the African Cup of Nations in January, so versus the likes of Ghana, I'm not sure. Obviously, Ethiopia and Zimbabwe are also in there. I don't think either of them are going to make it, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to push for it. So it is between South Africa and Ghana. I think Ghana have the better team overall. They've actually got a fantastic team. Obviously, they've got the likes of Boateng, that one striker who plays in the Chinese league, I think it is. And they've also got the likes of Ayew. They've got Thomas Partey. They've got fantastic players. Obviously, for the early stages of the qualifications, Thomas Partey is out with an injury, so that might impact them. But Ghana, better team overall, you'd expect for them to make it. Now, moving on to Group H. Once again, no question about it. It just has to be Namibia. Obviously, I'm joking. It has to be Senegal. Senegal, on paper, have such a deadly team. I mean, they've got Sadio Mane, one of the best wingers in the world. They've got Koulibaly. I mean, the list of fantastic players that they have, I mean, it actually just is endless. Obviously, World Cup goalkeeper in the likes of Mendy, Edouard Mendy, who just won the best goalkeeper from the Champions League or from Europe last season. They've got Idrissa Gueye. Senegal have a deadly team, and if they perform like they do for their clubs, I think they will be a real threat to deal with this competition. So, nothing bad against Congo or Togo or Namibia or any of those teams. I think they're all fantastic in their own right, but Senegal just take it once again by a country mile, the better team overall. We've got Group I next, and it's going to be the likes of Guinea-Bissau, they've got Morocco, and they've got Sudan. Now for me, once again, very easy group to predict. I think the likes of Guinea has some fantastic players. Don't get me wrong, I think they've got some world-class players in their national team that they haven't had for the last few years. I think Guinea-Bissau is not too bad, Sudan's not too bad, but Morocco just have to take the cake in my opinion. I mean, they've obviously got Ziyech, bench, they've got Hakimi, they've got fantastic players around La Liga. I know the one striker who plays for Sevilla. They've obviously got a winger who plays for Sevilla. They've got fantastic players all around the world that are doing very, very well at the moment. And I would say if you had to try and find their best players in the world and put them in a combined 11, you would realize that the squad is actually a lot stronger than you might initially think. I think they've got a lot of players that you might not even realize are Moroccan. I think Morocco could be one of the favorites to win the Africa Cup of Nations when that competition starts. I think better team in the group, and they should win it comfortably. I don't think they'll go unbeaten, but they should win it comfortably. Now we go to the likes of Group J, which I believe is the last group, the 10th group, if you may. So this is the final team that I think will go to the next stage of the competition. Now, of course, Tanzania, they've got the likes of Samatta, the former Aston Villa striker. He didn't really hit the ground running in the Premier League in terms of other players. I'm not too familiar with their other players. Madagascar, they've got the ability to surprise from time to time, believe it or not. But I think Benin could really cause a surprise. I think they could cause a shock in the group. And obviously, Democratic Republic of Congo. Once again, another team that hasn't qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations, but I'm going to put out a little bit of a jump there. I think the Democratic Republic of Congo are going to win their group, and they will be the 10th team out of all of these groups to go to the next stage of the competition. And ladies and gentlemen, those are my predictions for the Africa qualifications for the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. I'm so excited for the competition. Now, obviously, these are 10 teams. At a later stage, they'll kind of put out the fixtures between these 10 teams. Obviously, only 5 teams can make it. There will be a play-out stages, and once those results or once those fixtures are released, I will try to predict round 3 of the competition. But at the moment, I'm fairly happy with what I've put forward. I feel like most of the groups are relatively straightforward in terms of how strong the teams in the groups are. Majority of the groups do have a clear favorite, but guys, once again, don't forget, football is a magical thing where absolutely anything can happen. There are fantastic players, and just because the squad is made up of fantastic individuals doesn't necessarily mean that there'll be a great team overall, you know, playing as a team, obviously. But guys, that is it for my Africa World Cup predictions, my qualification predictions. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Obviously, I'm contemplating maybe doing this with European teams as well, South American teams. I don't know, I'll see how it goes. I'll see if you guys enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please hit like down below. Can we please get this video to 20 likes? I'd really appreciate it. And of course, subscribe if you're not subscribed to miss more content from me in the future. I would really appreciate it. Guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoy the international friendlies until club football comes back. But guys, until next time, this has been Finn, FYNN. Cheers, have a good one.